Good morning to all. The topic we will be handling is crisis counseling. Before moving into the topic, let me tell a quoted by Antonio Gramsci. He says that the crisis consists precisely in the fact that the old is dying and the new cannot be born. In this indirectness, a great variety of morbid symptoms appear. Then moving into the definition of crisis, according to Gilliland and James, it states that the people are in a stage of crisis when they perceive an event or situation as an intolerable difficulty that exceeds their resource and coping mechanism.
Crisis can occur to every individual in different forms. It can be something as simple as layoff from a job, or something intense like the death of a dear one, accidents, pandemics, disasters, and wars. So, crisis intervention is a time-limited intervention with a specific therapeutic approach to immediately stabilize those in a crisis. So, talking about the process that happens when a crisis happens, there is a disruption of equilibrium that happens, which means that the crisis leads to affecting the person's emotional state, physical state, and mental state, causing them distressed emotions. Whereas through crisis counseling, we are able to provide an assistance in a healthy recovery so that they are able to deal with future events that might occur, restore adaptive functioning, build the resilience and coping abilities, mobilize potential resources that are available, and re-establish safety and stability.
Then, crisis intervention can be exercised by counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, firefighters, doctors, nurses, emergency medical staff, etc. Crisis intervention is a short-term immediate intervention and it can be ranges from a period of 1 to 3 sessions. Per session, the period is 15 minutes to maximum 2 hours and if necessary, they refer to any other person if needed. Then moving to principles, according to Jeffrey H. Misher, there are 7 principles and first one is simplicity. Simplicity which means people respond, the clients they only respond to a simple process and a complex one. So when we are choosing the process, stick on to simple process rather than the complex one. Then brevity, it means the session per session the minutes so can be up to 1 hour in most cases, and which means 3 to 5 contacts typical. Innovation means providers must be creative to manage new situation. Give them a creative idea. So creative to in order to manage a new situation if arise. Pragmatism means suggestions must be practical if they are to work. The suggestions which we are giving should be practical, possibly practical. And proximity, most effective contacts are closer to operational zones. Immediacy, a state of crisis demands rapid intervention. Then expectancy, the crisis intervener works to set up expectations of a reasonable positive outcome.
Next, we'll talk about the difference between a crisis intervention and therapy. In crisis intervention, as we already discussed, it is a time limited intervention or assistance that is provided and it lasts for a matter of few hours. Whereas in therapy, long term assistance is provided to the clients. Then the second difference is that in crisis intervention, we understand and focus on on the main presenting problem, whereas in therapy, there is an in depth exploration that happens. Then the third difference is that crisis intervention aims to move the client from a state of immobility to mobility, which aims to return the client to a state that existed pre-crisis. Whereas in therapy, there is a long-term change which acts as an aim of therapy. Then we are going to discuss about theories of crisis intervention. So the theories are systems crisis theory, adaptational theory, interpersonal theory, and ecological theory. Looking into systems crisis theory, it is actually a correlation between an individual and a crisis and how they reciprocally interact with one another during crisis. I'll say an example for this. So think of the crisis of addiction, the compounding effect that the family will have due to the addiction and the family over time. will develop enabling tactics to keep the system in a healthy state, building capacity or mechanisms in which equilibrium is re-established in the family after the change occurs. Now, talking about adaptational theory, this theory operates on the premise that a crisis is sustained through maladaptive behaviors. Just as maladaptive behaviors are learned, they may be unlearned, and new constructive behaviors that are more reinforcing to the individual may replace them. Maladaptive behavior means not adjusting adequately to the situation. So, an example for this is an alcoholic's wife who has been in an abusive relationship finally leaves the relationship and gains control of her own life. So, this is developing new constructive behavior that the individual is able to reinforce or re establish in her life. Next one is interpersonal theory. So, this theory is based on the belief that as long as people believe that their reference of self evaluation is placed in others, they cannot escape the crisis. So, by establishing or re establishing the locus of self evaluation within themselves, people are able to gain or regain control of their life and take appropriate action to overcome the crisis. Let's say an example. Imagine a grief stricken parents due to the loss of their child. So, what happens is they start to condemn God or the doctors for their loss. So, this in turn makes them remain stuck in their grief, and it leads to a situation where they are unable to use their interpersonal resources to overcome the traumatic event. So, non cognitive, emotional, and psychological resources are not of use to them in such situations. So, they have to the regain a regain and self evaluate themselves and take back the control of their own lives in such when in the case of such a traumatic event. Then the next one is ecological theory. So this deals with the multifaceted impact of large scale natural and human made disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, bombings, and nuclear reactor meltdowns, as well as the effects of these effects that these events have not only on the people themselves but also across the environment. So the environment as a whole is considered in this theory.
Next, moving into the types of crisis, there are mainly four types of crisis that are developmental crisis, situational crisis, existential crisis, and systematic crisis. First one is developmental crisis. It occurs when events in the normal flux and flow of human growth are disrupted by a dramatic shift that precipitates an abnormal response, which means saying is that when a child they shift from home to boarding school, or when a student is shifting to a new culture, new lifestyle, college, hostel, and all, such kind of crises are called the developmental crisis. Then situational crisis. It occurs when an uncommon event occurs that the individual has no way of forecasting or controlling. Then existential crisis, inner conflicts that accompany the important human issues of joy, happiness, responsibility, love, goal-oriented, and self-concept. Existential crisis occurs when an individual suddenly realizes that some important intrapersonal aspect of their life will never be fulfilled, which means it is a feeling of unease about meaning, choice, or and freedom in life. For example, saying that if a college student moving away from home or an adult going through a difficult divorce might feel as though the foundation on which their life was built is crumbling. Then last one is systematic crisis. It is ripple out into a large segment of the population and the environment itself, which means the crisis which arise due to the population or environment itself.
John F. Kennedy states that when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity, which means that when a traumatic event occurs, if we address it, it enables us to uh, make sure that there is no long lasting effects of the traumatic event, and it also provides an opportunity for the person to get to know his own strengths and work in a way that he is able to have normal reactions to future events that may happen. So, talking about the stages in basic crisis intervention, the first stage is the client comes in with a disturbed equilibrium from the trauma, and the second stage is brief therapy targeted at the trauma and disequilibrium. During this stage, a single focus is given to the presenting problem, and we enable in stage 3, we enable the client to work through the trauma by ventilation, catharsis, and sharing. And at last, we reach the stage 4, which is restoration of equilibrium.
Then moving into the crisis intervention model, there are mainly 4 models: ABCD crisis intervention, critical incident stress management, shortly CISM, NOVA crisis intervention, and last one is psychological first aid, shortly PFA. First one is the ABCD model of crisis intervention. The A, which stands for achieve conduct, simply means building rapport. It means provide safety and security, restore power and control. The clients, they may feel insecure, so the counselor should feel them secure and safe wherever the client is. Second letter B, it stands for boil down the problem, which means allow for reactions and interaction as well as ventilation and validation by telling story, determine most pressing problem and help to restore dignity. Making them to tell story, what they feel and what are their stories, and making them also those stories which stress them, which hurt them more, and help to restore the ability to normal. C, which stands for cope with the problem, help predict and prepare for the future, explore resources and suggest realistic options, accept a new normal and new reality, which means suggest realistic options for coping the problem in future. Last letter, determine the meaning of the event. Assist in offering opportunities for restoration, hope, and to find meaning in the traumatic event. Next slide. Okay. Next is critical incident risk management, shortly called CISM. CISM is a comprehensive system of crisis intervention aimed to provide an overall support by considering and impacting an entire spectrum of crisis. This denotes a multi-component system of involvement before crisis occurs, during the peak of the crisis, and after the crisis occurs. It is an effective intervention system that requires a specialist trained in the CISM model for its effective implementation. Next slide. The next one is the National Organization for Victim Assistance, shortly NOVA crisis intervention. NOVA crisis intervention is a method that originated as an after effect of a mass killing in Oklahoma. It is an evidence study based and a field tested best practice inclusive model. Under the system, response teams are trained specifically focusing on the basics of basic crisis intervention techniques using this model, skill building, and scenario based practical application. This is an effective tool useful in dealing with mass casualty critical incidents. The last one is psychological first aid, shortly PFA. PFA is a simple and practical method used on people who have faced traumas and crises. It contributes to strengthening the coping skills and resilience of the person. It is an effective tool used to assess the intensity of the crisis on the affected in order to ensure advanced help if needed. This tool is also used to reduce the stress, provide assistance for recovery from the crisis, as well as to provide advanced individual and group mental health interventions. Small group diffusing and critical incident stress debriefing is used for the same.
Now we'll have a detailed look into some of the tools. So the first one is small group diffusing. What is a diffusing? It is a immediate small group support that is conducted by trained staff members and it is designed to have a discussion or sharing among those that are exposed to the traumatic events, and this is a method to enable them to bring the incident to a conclusion and provide immediate personal support. And by this, it also helps to normalize the reaction, normalize the person's reaction to such situations, and as well as that provide assistance for a healthy recovery. Then the next one is critical incident stress debriefing. Next, we'll talk about the critical incident stress debriefing. So it is a highly significant tool that is used in the fields of traumatic stress and emergency responses throughout the world. So in this, it is a structured and programmed process of psychological debriefing that is designed predominantly as a group-based intervention to help individuals who witness and work at the scene of a critical incident or disaster. Example, emergency response personnel, disaster counselors, American Red Cross workers, mental health workers, firefighters. The process relies heavily on reconstruction of the traumatic event, ventilation, and normalization of distress. So, in this, they use ventilation, catharsis, and sharing as a group consisting of people who have had similar traumatic stress or emergency, who provide traumatic stress and emergency responses in the world. So this helps in normalizing their distress as well as provide a ventilation so that they have a normal reaction and normal recovery if at all they are facing burnouts or secondary stress symptoms. So the 7 steps include: first step is introduction, fact phase, thought phase, reaction phase, symptom phase, education phase, and re-entry phase. We'll not go deep into it. Then the next one is critical incident stress management. This has already been discussed. So this is an adaptive short-term psychological helping process. So one of the advantages is that it not just provides post-crisis for, intervention, but it includes pre-incident preparedness, acute crisis management during the crisis, and post-crisis follow-up. So that is the advantage of this tool. This has already been discussed, so I'll not go into it. Then the next one is medical crisis counseling. So this is used in medical or healthcare settings, majorly for patients who have chronic illnesses or have just received diagnosis of a chronic illness. So they may be facing a lot of psychological and social problems because of or shocks relating to their diagnosis, and they might require support in order to have a normalized reaction and cope up with the diagnosis. So this tool is providing the response to the stressful circumstances that they might be facing. Then the next one is psychological debriefing. It is a structured group meeting where the participants are able to have a past review of the traumatic event that they have already experienced, and they review how they have responded to it. So this helps in promoting cognitive organization, decreases the sense of uniqueness that the participant may be feeling. This is mainly because of the multiple sharings that take place in the group, and mobilizing group resources if there are any, preparation for reactions that might arise, and reduction of unnecessary side effects that might happen in the future.
Then moving on to the counseling steps in crisis intervention. So next slide. Okay. There are mainly 6 steps, and that is: first one is establishment of a helping relationship, assuring safety, conducting an assessment, give support, assist with action plan, arrange for follow-up. First one is establishment of a helping relationship. It is a it means the client feels supported and feel understood, and which it reduce emotional triggering. And the client also should feel confidence in the counsel and a hope. And in order to have a healthy relationship, it includes active listening, empathetic, positive regard, genuineness, and concreteness. And it also it is a the ventilation, catharsis, and sharing of the depressed feelings and emotions. Then moving to the second, ensuring safety. If the clients coming, they are they're prone to physical, emotional, or mental distress and could be fearful of being harmful to oneself or others. Whoever the client is, they are feeling such kind of insecurity while they're coming to us, while they're coming to a counselor. So in such cases, it to address directly with such topics, providing ventilation of such distress emotion and providing an advanced care through hospitalization if the situation of the client demands it. Okay, then conduct an assessment. It means acquire information from the client on what caused the event, what it meant to the client, what triggered the response, and what made the client seeking help now. It led and utilize questioning techniques to focus and pinpoint the discussion traumatic event. And next one is giving support. It ensures that the client is receiving ample support, care, and comfort outside of the counseling. And especially for clients with suicidal ideations, this step of highlighting such support to the client is essential. Next slide. Then assist with action plan is taking up the leading or directive role and facilitate the client to come up with an action plan on the first session. It makes deliberate efforts to focus on one the main issue. It is by using brainstorming to understand and analyze possible coping mechanisms. And also counselors can make appropriate referrals if necessary. Then arrange for follow-up. Client is beginning to become able to control his or her own emotions, and have reasonable control reaction to traumas. Make sure that the action plans are being implemented and verify if she or he requires additional assistance.
Next, we'll talk about one of the main aspects of crisis counseling, that is counselor self-help. Counselors are subject to vicarious traumatization or secondary post-traumatic stress and burnouts. So because of this, it is really important for the counselors to seek out supportive and regular supervision of their colleagues and supervisors, as well as take the time to promote their emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Counselors have to understand that self-care is a time for reflection and healing and growth, and only through taking proper self-care will they be able to provide the essential support that their clients require. So one of the major tools that is used for the same is critical incident stress debriefing. As we already discussed, it is a 7-step group psychological process developed as a method for mitigating the harmful effects of work-related trauma and mitigating post-traumatic stress disorder. These are our references. Thank you.